Would you consider for a moment that God actually likes you? That in fact, God loves you? And that you don't have to believe or do anything in order to earn this love? And that you can in fact do whatever you want, as long as it is physically possible? And that there in fact are much fewer limitations than you think? Now let's talk about this. Hello from Sweden, and welcome to Everyday Mystic, a gentle guide to your liberation. My name is David, and I hope that you're feeling well and that you're having a good day. Now, here is the problem. Or I don't know if I would exactly call it a problem. But this is what we're dealing with when we're talking about that you are free to do whatever you want. It is the problem of the ego versus the true will. Because you've been so conditioned, and in fact I would say brainwashed, into believing that you want certain things that you don't really want, that we are here to maybe acquire possessions, that we are here to get these little kicks and experiences before we go into eternal oblivion, and that it's very important to get the most out of life on a purely physical level before we die. This is what you've been conditioned to, and in fact, the truth is that you are just pure awareness, pure consciousness. You are part of God's infinite consciousness. And everything else is just basically an illusion. Movement, sounds, words, images, and so on. And we get caught up in this, we identify with this. You don't really exist in the way that you think that you do. All of these things, all these little wants, wishes, desires, all of this identity that we build up around who we like to be with, who we can love, who belongs to our in-group, who are in our out-group, our religion, all of these things, our political opinions, none of these things are you. In fact, anything that is a thought up inside of your head is nothing but words, noise. It's nothing else. It's nothing to build an identity around. But here we have the interesting paradox, because what does this then really mean? Does it mean that this whole life is just a pointless joke? And that there is no real meaning to us being here? Well, yes and no. We are here to play a role for a time. If we really pick up this role and really play this role doesn't really matter in the grander scheme of things, and we don't have to attach a lot of importance to this role. And we can play it good or bad, it doesn't really matter either. Because at the absolute fundamental core we are just one with God's infinite consciousness. And everything else is just like shadows, it's just like projections on a screen. And yet, why not play this role to the best of our ability when we are here? When we start to wake up to our fundamental nature, there are a lot of things that usually start to fall away. Our interests change because we realize that a lot of the things that we have been chasing after are really just pointless. They are mirages, they are illusions. There are a lot of inauthentic choices that we can make. Not that it really matters, But why really ask questions about whether ultimately this is real or not? I think that anyone listening to this can feel that we have certain inclinations towards some things, certain inclinations towards other things, and as we are waking up more and more spiritually, we are realizing that a few of these inclinations are just part of the programming. It's just part of the things that society has told us to go after, that our peer groups has told us to go after, things that we have been raised into by our parents, things that we realize don't matter. And usually these are things like empty sensory gratifications, hookup culture, this idea that I talked about before, that we just need to go after any kind of pleasurable experience at any cost. And we start to realize that we want to do things that build us up and not things that break us down. Not because it ultimately matters, but because some things feel more meaningful to us and we don't really need to ask any more questions when it comes to this. But then it also comes down to that we have our personal inclinations. Some things on a personal level feel more authentic than others. But we need to remove all of this baggage that we have imposed on ourselves. Again, all of these ideas that come from the outside, even these social norms and rules that we think that we have to abide by. Things that have been instilled in us since birth many times. You have to do this, you have to do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. You have to do a certain thing in order to be spiritual. You have to avoid other things in order to be spiritual. For example, and I may say this because I myself am a lacto-ovo vegetarian. I don't eat meat, I don't eat fish, I don't eat chicken and so on. But I no longer believe that this is anything that is needed to be spiritual. It has nothing to do with that. I was having this diet before I started to truly wake up, and I see no reason to change it. But I know a lot of meat eaters that are very spiritual people. So it has nothing to do with that. In fact, it has nothing to do with how we engage with the outside reality at all. It is just this simple recognition that everything is fundamentally okay. We are just part of infinite consciousness, and this is the only unchanging part of this whole experience. We will be part of infinite consciousness forever, and nothing can ever change that. And everything else is just, as I said, movement and pictures and so on. Things that are playing themselves out on infinite consciousness. You can either recognize this or not. It doesn't really fundamentally change anything, except that you become free when you truly recognize this. This does not mean that you are totally free from pain, from different kinds of emotions that may be stirred up within you. It doesn't mean that you at once become free from all of these energetic blockages, these emotional blockages that you have inside you. But the more you can actually, in this non-resistant state, just function from the present moment, recognizing that everything is fundamentally okay. And when you really feel this infinite consciousness look out through your eyes, and that this physical body, this physical brain and all of this is just fundamentally an illusion, that behind all of this is always infinite consciousness, then things will start to fall into place on their own. Energetic blockages will start to get released on their own, and you will see how your reality starts to shift to become more in alignment with what you want. But don't have expectations of reality. Don't demand things of reality. Because this is the opposite of surrender. If you truly want something, and it's not just this programming, these ego fixations that are drawing you towards different things, if you truly in your heart want something, somewhere down the line it will come to you. But the more you can clear away this ego programming, the easier it will get. First of all, just observe yourself. Try to see whether these things that you want are a true expression of who you are. Again, this does not ultimately matter. Maybe this true self is also an illusion. In one sense it is. But why ask these kinds of questions when you know that you can just function from infinite consciousness and everything else will flow from there? And just allow yourself to gravitate towards the things that you truly feel called to. So, for me, for example, I am sort of an esoteric mystical geek. I both practice and study these things because I like it, not because I think that it will make me more spiritual, not because I think that it will wake me up. I know that this awakening is already happening, and the more I just identify with infinite consciousness, the more this happens automatically, and I can do this every single moment of every single day of my life, no matter where I am or what I am doing. So why not just do the things that I feel that I gravitate towards? All of these other labels that we put on ourselves, that hamper us. I'm a bad person if I do this. I'm undisciplined. I'm a failure. I'm a slob. All of these are just labels that hold us back. Spirituality is not complicated. It's not difficult. We can make it so if we want to. But if we just wake up to this simple truth, infinite consciousness, that's all we need to know. And then we can just go on doing whatever we feel called to do. Not because it ultimately matters, but why not do things that we like to do, that we feel called to do, instead of allowing external circumstances to dictate what we do. And this is the big point here. And I know I've been building up to this for a long time, but here is the big matter of this video. Look at your actions. Look at what you want and what you wish for and so on. And don't just look at the bigger picture. Look at your small everyday choices as well. Because if you are like me, you will discover that you allow so many irrelevant factors to determine what choices you make. Things like, as I said, things that we think that other people expect of us, other people's real expectations of us, what we think we ought to do in order to live out some fantasy about who we think that we are. All of this you can become free from if you realize that none of these ideas hold any real truth, hold any real value. None of this is real. And if you can recognize this, you can also start to truly become who you really are. Not because it is who you are at the absolute fundamental core, but suddenly you are free to choose. You don't have to do one single thing in order to live up to some identity of some idea of who you are. You are completely free to choose. Again, many things will fall away by themselves. Because there is truth to the statement that spiritual awakening and recognizing who we truly are is to a large extent just to let go of things. But none of this is necessary. So free yourself from all factors except from what truly comes up when you ask yourself truly, sincerely, free from all of the constraints that you put on yourself, what you truly want, who you truly want to express yourself as. Not because this is who you truly are. I repeat this a lot, but this is an important point here. You are not anything that is tied to this physical persona, to this mask that you show out into the world. But now that you know this, because this is what you will find out eventually, even if you might resist it, why not have a little fun with it? Not because it matters. Why not play around with it a little bit? Why not see if anything resonates more with you and other things resonate less with you? So, this is the conclusion that I have come to, and I know I talk a lot about my new channel that I'm running with my wife, that I'm doing as much as possible with AI, but I add a human touch to it. It's called Internet Mystic Database, and there will be a link to it in the description, in the end screen, and in the comment section. But here I can express myself as much as I can because I am more capable of expressing myself in text, but I also like this human connection that we get from making these videos, and I will do at least a few every month. But I like much more to just sit and read a book and write stuff and things like that. That is something I'm much more comfortable with. And this is what I think I can do most with when it comes to disseminating information. And I also like to create stuff. So this is another thing. I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. And what does this mean? I'm speaking a little bit personally here, but there is a very big point that I want you to get here. Namely that we have all of these ideas that come from outside. Today it's not really considered a good thing to be a jack of all trades. You have to be specialized, a lot of people say. Just ignore all of the other things that you are interested in and just focus narrowly on one thing. This is not me. And I know that this means that I will probably not be really good at one thing. But I can, on the other hand, allow all of these things to create a greater whole. And this is what I am aiming at. And this is, maybe I will succeed, maybe I will fail. The point that I want you to take with you is that don't think about all of these voices around you that are telling you that you have to do things a specific way. This is nonsense. Go for the way that you feel like. But of course, think a little bit about whether it adds value to other people or not. That is the only thing that really matters when it comes to the things outside of yourself. Does this add value or not? Apart from that, be who you truly are in everything. And of course, if you don't care about reaching any other people, that's fine too. Then you don't have to even think about adding value. But if you want to get out to other people, this is the thing that you need to aim for out in the physical reality. So, there is a challenge here, namely to prioritize and refine what you are doing again. Letting go of things that don't really serve you, things that don't really resonate with you, that you've just picked up along the way. And this will fall into place naturally if you just Learn to stay grounded in the present moment. Ask yourself some important questions about what you want to do. And then observe and allow things to flow from pure awareness. Because this is what you are falling into more and more. This is what you are becoming more aligned with as you go through your spiritual awakening and realize who you truly are and your truly limitless nature. I'm not there yet, but I have seen where this is leading. And when you start to wake up to this means that you've already, in essence, reached the end point of your journey. The rest is just things playing themselves out. And you can, to a larger or lesser degree, kick and scream and resist the process. This is what we do as long as we are identified with all of these false things that we are really not. But this is where it's leading. Being grounded in the present moment, not resisting anything that comes into your experience, because whatever is in your experience is already there. This inner resistance towards it is completely useless. It will not make the experience go away. And the more you can just realize that all of this physical stuff, again, movement, words, sounds, pictures, etc., are just illusions. They are just projections on a screen, and you are free to relate to it any way that you want, and you don't have to make a big issue about whether is this authentic or not. Just go for the things that feel most authentic to you and be prepared to make adjustments along the way. So just stay in this presence. Observe and allow. Don't resist whatever is in the present moment, but don't make a fuss about that either. Because don't resist the resistance. Just be there with it. There is nothing that you have to do with anything. Just know that this pure consciousness is there all the time. And when you do this, when you recognize this, when you tap into this, when you see that this is the foundation of this whole journey, that you don't have to get anywhere, you don't have to do anything, everything is fundamentally okay, just the way it is, then you will also find more and more clarity. Not because you have to, but because this is what happens naturally when you let go of all of these identifications with things that you are really not. And when you do, you can just more and more relax, let go, and float gently down the stream. And that's it for today. If you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment, and share the video on social media and other places. All of it helps the channel to grow. And check out the description and the comment section for other things that me and my wife are doing. Especially check out the new channel, Internet Mystic Database. And other than that, just sincerely thank you for your time.